Today I'm installing Windows Server 2012 with Hyper-V, the version without the GUI. The real version, generally available earlier this month, is September 23rd, 2012. Pulling together information from a few blog posts and some trial, some test with different VMX files, file configuration options, I've got this working. So I've done the rehearsal, now I'm ready to actually do the simplest video I can do, the simplest procedure I can do to get this running under ESXi 5.1. The goal here is Hyper-V, to be able to kick the tires on it, the very latest version, and to do that with the ISO file you download from MSDN or the free evaluation from Microsoft. Those files seem to match, seem to be the exact same length. So I don't think it matters where you get it, it's going to be the same procedure. So, Step 1, install ESXi 5.1. Already done and covered how to do that in other videos. Step 2, download the ISO file from Microsoft, one of those two file names I just showed you. Step 3 is to enable SSH to your ESXi host. You can do this temporarily. So click on your ESXi host in vCenter, vSphere client. Click on your ESXi host, click on Configuration, click on Security Profile, click on Properties, click on SSH, click on Options, and just manually start it. And click OK. We're going to need that because we're going to need to log in and tweak some stuff after we create the virtual machine. Very minor tweaks though. Okay, what else do we need to do? We need to use the data store browser to get this ISO file into our ESXi storage. So if we look at ESXi storage, okay, I happen to have, whoops, don't need to double click, I want to right click and browse data store. I have an SSD with a folder called ISO, okay, that already has this Hyper-V server. That's the file name I told you, that's the one we want. So basically I clicked, upload, browse my local file system, and pop the file into that directory. Took a few minutes. Okay, so those are our first 3 steps. Now we're ready to configure the actual virtual machine. So we're done with data store browser. Go here, and it's time to create a virtual machine. We can do a typical next install. So typical, just click next. Paste in this nice name for my clipboard here, template. Host name of Hyper-V, and then the full name of the operating system, so I can remember it, much later. Click Next. The data store it's pointing to is good. An SSD. We should get this done quickly. Hit Next. It's 24 gig available. It's only going to use like 5 gig, I believe, for this install. Next, Windows Server 2012, 64-bit is the operating system we want to choose. Hit Next. Default network adapter should be fine. Hit Next. Thin provision. I don't want to waste space on my drive. You may have different desires. I think 80 is the minimum. I'm not sure. But either way, I'll go with 80. And it's only going to use about 5 gig in the actual hard drive, solid state drive. It warns me about watching the capacity carefully and don't run out of space. Edit the virtual machine settings. Click Continue. Edit the DVD, data store ISO file, connect on power on, and browse our way to that ISO folder I showed you. Here's the Hyper-V server installer, ISO file. That's the one we want. Are we done yet? Not quite. One thing you might want to consider is you only have one CPU here. So if you want to change that to 2, by all means. I've had no issues with changing that after the fact. If you want a little better performance. But if you want Hyper-V to take away less of the overall performance of your ESXi host, you might want to leave that at 1 CPU. It's really your choice. My focus for this video is keeping it simple. So let's leave it at these numbers here. I'll click Finish. Great. What's next? Looking at my quick cheat sheet here. Upgrade version 9. Okay. If we point to this VM you just created and point to Summary, you'll see right here it says VM version 8. Watch what happens when we right-click and say Upgrade Virtual Hardware. Say Yes, and almost immediately changes to VMX 09. If we don't do this step, I had issues while preparing before this video. So I have some test VMs, I got them working. So that step is important. Next, tweaking the the VMX file. How do we do that? How about WinSCP? So let's start up WinSCP. I'm going to hit the Windows key and R. Start to run. Excuse me. Windows key and Q. Type WinSCP and just launch it. All right. WinSCP. What are we doing here? If you're used to FileZilla or something like it, it's just a GUI to move files in and out of VMware's world here. And here's your VMFS file system off the root of your ESXi host. In there's volumes. And there is the Kingston solid state drive where I put this new virtual machine we just created. And now I've got the VMX file. Do I need to make backup copies, or should I use VI editor or command line? Yeah, but I'm trying to focus on simplicity here, and this VM has no data in it we care about. We can quite simply just double click and it opens up an editor. So that's simple. We can click on our mouse at the very bottom and you can see a blinking cursor. There's no extra lines. We can now paste from our clipboard and hit enter. And again, clicking at the bottom, there's no extra spaces. I hit delete key. There was one extra space. Okay, so that's how we want to look. 4 lines were just added and no extra padded spaces or anything, just a carriage return at the end after this last line. That's it. That's the secret sauce. Those 4 lines will make this thing work. Close it and say yes. Watch carefully. It touched it. The file's been touched. The date and time was updated. Strange offset with the time zone going on here, but let's open that up again. You can see our settings changed. It stuck. So we're done with WinSCP. Totally. We can close it. Let's bring the vSphere client back up again. Now we're ready for the fun part. Open up the console tab. Let's go back to Summary tab again to show you settings. Everything looks normal. Go back to the Console tab. Power it up. Okay, we're getting no video, so I'm going to right-click and... Oh, there we go. Next. Install now. Very routine install at this point. Installation of Hyper-V is a lot easier than configuring it, very much like ESXi. Kind of fun to capture the legal stuff on video here, in case everyone want to look at it. Okay, there's your entire license terms. Click Next. Custom is the only option. This isn't an upgrade, it's a blank hard drive. There's the blank hard drive. Just click Next. And there it goes. I'll go ahead and speed up this portion of the video. You know what? It's going so fast. I'm probably not even going to bother speeding it up in post-production. You'll get the idea that it's not laying down a whole Windows 2012 instance. It's a whole lot less files. There's no GUI. This is just the hypervisor going down. A lot bigger footprint on hard drive than ESXi 5.1, but still, you'll see the install is rather quick. After it's done, I'll try to remember to look at the VMFS file system and see how big this virtual machine is on the hard drive, the virtual hard drive, which you'll remember is thin provisioned, which means even though I told it an 80 gig hard drive exists, I lied to it, it's only going to use up a few gig on the actual solid state drive that I put this on. Okay, so that was a real-time look at the installation. I did not speed up the clock. Password change. Oops. Here it is. Okay, so what do we need to do next to get this thing ready? Well, we're going to manage it from a remote virtual machine. So what am I talking about? Well, I have a client. I just so happen to have a client that's Windows 8 ready to roll. All right. But before we do that, we've got to do a couple of prerequisite steps here. Computer name's a little goofy, and I'm going to go ahead and fix that. Say no, because I'm going to have to reboot soon enough. Watch if we hit option 2 again and go in. Okay, well, I'm not sure that's sticking. We'll see on the reboot. Next, add local administrator. What are we talking about there? Well, if I want to come in and connect from a Windows 8 machine, it's kind of handy to just go ahead and add a local administrator with the same username and password. Okay, so now I have a local account that matches this Windows 8 virtual machine. And what else? Remote desktop. I like to enable that. That way we don't have to have our mouse hostage in this window. We can use remote desktop connection to get to it. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that on. It's a lab. I'm going to allow any version of remote desktop to get in. All right. All the rest is not actually really required, but could be a good idea to go ahead and hard code the IP. So I'm going to take a moment to do that as well. It's a server after all. So I'm just going to hit um, 11 for my network adapter. And now I can go ahead and set it up. There's all the settings. And it says DHC enable true. So if you want to leave it alone for a lab, you can. But now we know how to connect, right? In my case, it's IP address 114. I'm going to go ahead and hard code it. I'm going to pick something a little better. 140 I know is available. I've pinged it. No one's on it. Yeah, that's done. Interesting about the DNS there. So we hit 2 for DNS. I don't have 2 DNS at home, so I'm just pointing to Google at this point. And that's it. Return to main menu. So again, a lot of this is just kind of best practices, things that I do before that very first reboot of the server. So now I saved the best for last. Let's change that computer name and then say yes this time. So we're going to call it Hyper-V and then say yes and let it reboot. Okay, so we've hard-coded an IP. If we look over here at summary, we'll probably see it doesn't know the IP. That's correct. And we're in. And the host name is Hyper-V. So all that's good now. Notice there's two windows in Hyper-V. Our IP address. A little bit messed up there, so we got to fix that. Network settings, 11, set network adapter address, static. Kind of strange, we're still getting that weird setting. Let's see what it shows here. It keeps auto-configuring my IP here. DHCP enabled is false. Duplicate. All right, so for some reason it doesn't like that. I'm going to go with, there's nothing on that network. I don't know why it's thinking it's a duplicate, but we'll go ahead and not stop fighting it. So network settings, 11, set network adapter address, static, 160. And we still have that 169 in there. So let's see if that did anything. Yeah, that one worked. So we're good now. Return to main menu. Okay, now that we have a valid network, we can go ahead and say download and install updates. Before I do that, I'm going to back up this VM. So I'm going to do shut down the server. So we're basically done creating a template, right? Awesome. So we go right click and say template. So we never have to do this again and convert it to template. So now we have a read-only copy of that VM ready to deploy by clicking on VMs and templates over here. And we can now right click and say deploy virtual machine from this template. And now we can just call it Hyper-V. It's got our host name followed by the actual operating system description. Okay, it actually used up very little on the drive, like 1 gig it looks like. Same format of source, thin provisioned as it was. Power on this VM after creation? Sure, why not? And one more thing, click edit. I'm going to disconnect that DVD drive. We don't need that anymore. Click OK. And now it's cloning, copying virtual machine file. This should go very fast. Why do I say that? Let's go back to the hosts and clusters view. And let's look at the summary tab. And as soon as it finishes copying, we'll see how much storage it's actually using. Okay, so my base image is ready. If I want to horse around with Hyper-V, I can just clone from it. I may want to disconnect the network and change the hard-coded IP, but either way, I'm in good shape to redeploy Hyper-V at any time I will. And I can always change that template back to a regular virtual machine, boot it, and tweak it. Maybe run updates, maybe turn on DHCP, and then right-click it and turn it back into a template. All of that's fine. So once this thing's done cloning, I can now charge forward with messing around with it and connecting Windows 8 to it. So let's get ready to connect Windows 8 to it. Go to the Windows 8 VM, open up the console, and let's talk about how to administer Hyper-V. So if we go here and hit Windows Q and just start typing Hyper-V, there's nothing. How about if we go to Settings and type, or say the Windows key plus W, and type Add our Programs. There we go, Programs and Features. Turn Windows features on or off. Open up the Hyper-V section and turn on the management tools. It's that easy. And fast. So now when we hit Windows Q and start typing Hyper, it comes right up. Open that up, connect to server, and what do you know, it looks like the server is ready. The server is taking up 7 gig of storage on the virtual hard drive there, the solid state drive, excuse me, and it's, ready. And remember, we create an account, a local account called user that matches the username and password of the Windows 8 user that's about to come in and connect to it for the first time. Okay? Now, there's going to be an error when we first go to connect from Windows 8, and I'll talk about that error. Let me show you. Could hack the host file so that we have a friendly name, or we can just type in IP, whatever your preference is, but either way you're going to get this nasty error. So we can get rid of that. Notice that even though we typed in IP, it shows the name, the host name over on the other side. So let's go ahead and remove that server and say don't connect and clean up the interface. What is the fix for that? Fix for that took me a little while to find. It had to do with COM management. In Windows 7 it was easy to do in the GUI, but in Windows 8 you really need to hit Windows plus the R key for run. Type in COMCNFG. Hit enter. And there it is, Component Services. Under Component Services, sorry, let me look this up. Hang on a second. Not remembering this off the top of my head. Okay, expand computers. You right-click on My Computer and edit Properties. Say Properties. And now, let me just clean up. I want to get a good screenshot of that. So if we do Start Run, hit Enter, brings up this, expand it just enough to show My Computer, right-click, Properties, COM Security, click on the Access Permission area and say Edit Limits. Click on Anonymous Login and say Remote Access. Credit where credit's due. It's this awesome blog post that told me exactly how to do that. It's from years ago, but the same thing's still broken to this day. So, yeah. Click OK. Click OK again, and close it. So I've resumed this video now, and I'm ready to do the next steps. The next step being we fixed this COM RPC error, but there's another critical issue we need to attend to. That's over here on the networking side. So we have this COM issue on the Windows 8 side where it's not going to connect with Hyper-V Manager until we fix that. right? But also on the ESXi side, we need to go to the ESXi host and go to Networking tab, go to Configuration, and look around here, and you'll see normally you probably have a virtual machine network, and its properties, the switch properties right here, just click at it. Security tab will reject promiscuous mode packets. For Hyper-V, you need to turn that on. What does it mean? Well, I have a whole nother network adapter, which I've attached. I've called it VPN, and its properties have that one little bit flipped. The switch, click at it, security, you'll see promiscuous mode is set to accept. So let's cancel out. I didn't actually change anything. I'm just showing you that you need a network interface or a switch that's set to promiscuous mode. So if you only have one interface, you can change that one. Or if you have a second network adapter where you can switch it over, you can do it that way. You can also add another virtual switch to a physical NIC, but that's kind of out of scope here for what I'm trying to show. So what does all this mean? Well, now that we've done that and have promiscuous mode on in a network, the Hyper-V server itself has to be on that network. So let's do edit virtual machine, network adapter, and change it to this VPN network is what I called mine. All right? So that's done. Okay, now back at the Windows 8 virtual machine. We are ready to proceed. Now, if you look at my instructions on my website, I'm probably going to go ahead and point out to the user that's creating the VM up front, the Hyper-V VM, that they should go ahead and make sure they're on promiscuous mode, enabled, switched network when they create that VM. All right, so back on Windows 8, Hyper-V Manager, you can maximize this window, and we're ready to connect to the server. So it's cached that IP because I tried to connect earlier. So now we connect. It's going to show up with the host name along the left edge. And there we go. We can edit our ESXi host file on this local Windows machine and type in the name Hyper-V, and then it would find it. Or if we have true DNS, it'll find it by name. Either way, it puts the name in the left. So we've got that server, Hyper-V server, connected. And we're ready to click New, Virtual Machine. And I want to keep things simple. And I don't want to use up storage if I can help it. All I really want to do is know if a nested VM boots. If it boots, I know nesting is working. I don't really care what operating system's on there at the moment. So I'm going to blow right through the wizard. Just click Next, Next, Next. No networking needed. Next. And I'm going to skip a hard drive. Next, and finish. Okay, that saves a lot of time. Now, if we right-click on this virtual machine we created and say Connect, the virtual machine is turned off. What can we switch on? We got the start button, we had snapshot. I don't want a snapshot, I want to power it on. So this is kind of the drum roll moment here. When we power it on, it came right up. So things are working out as well. Yeah, we don't have any ISO mounted or any operating system. But this is kind of the money shot I really want. It's showing ESXi 5.1 running Hyper-V and a VM running in that Hyper-V environment. So that's pretty much what I wanted to get accomplished here. Installing nested VMs and what do we need to do with them. That'll need to wait for another day. But at least the proof of concept or the baby step towards getting to that point is done. It works. It's not such a baby step. Now I've got the versatility of a full Hyper-V environment that I can learn on. And it might be good to know if it's impacting my CPU in any way. So if we go to the Performance tab, on Windows 8 we wouldn't really expect much of anything for CPU. But we want to look at the Hyper-V server and see if it's kind of abusing my overall ESXi host. The answer is no. CPU is settled down to under 10%. Doing almost nothing. ESXi itself, how busy is it? Well, I have some other virtual machines running, and it's pretty happy as well. So there we have it. Data center in a box. We got ESXi 5.1 running Hyper-V, which has a Windows 8 virtual machine managing it with the Hyper-V GUI. So that's it for tonight. Hopefully you found this video helpful and informative, and I thank you for watching. And please take a moment to make comments at my website. You don't even need a login